familiar with Brooklyn Station, where Fresh Market is, we rented one of those spaces for a few months over, again, since 2015, so quite a while ago. I put 1748 in there because they didn't even have a brick and mortar at the time. And, I'm sure we all love 1748 now. So just being able to elevate all these small brands and support them, it was amazing. But this is a project that we did through Downtown Vision, and it's called Looking Glass. It was in December 2018. We got together with a bunch of different artists and hired them to create windows and vacant storefronts. And then just some photos of the different things we've been doing. This top picture right here is actually our very first food and beverage tenant. He and his partners are signed on as Naked Kitchen. They are popping up all over the city right now. If you haven't tried their food yet, you gotta get it. It's so delicious. Kung Pao Brussels sprouts, kimchi, grilled cheese. Their concept is all cooked from scratch. So no can, no process. And in 2014, when I interned with Downtown Vision, so I was there for about 3 years, and I was intern all the way through direct experience. Space into a public space for people to create murals, host events. We hosted alongside of Trey Headlong and Greg Nielsen. Can't forget them. The Vagabond Flea, Will Morgan helped him with shutting down streets, activating parking lots, downtown Murray Hill. The Jax River Jams, I had the pleasure of helping out in year one and kind of spearheading the event. Thinking about all things in Jacksonville, not in the world, and work. Last weekend in Nicole, we were just at the International Theater in Baltimore. It was a sold-out conference. There was almost 500 people in the room, and the woman in charge said, "How many people hear this word and title?" And maybe 5 people were doing it. It was us that were raising their hands and I commented on them. So it was a really incredible moment to start that. I'm going to actually go on a little bit of a different order than everybody else. I'm going to start with my actual title, which is Creative Placemaking Specialist. I work with the Cultural Council as their co-host with All Jones for the Every Single Artist Lounge. And I just work in our community, Black Local the Art Experience. It started in 2016, and as you can see, it also has growth stages because of the time frame. The Petite. Anybody to the Petite? The Petite is my Placemakingjax project, and I will say that this took a lot of time. Well, when I got the space with the Petite, it was done downtown, right between City and the water reserve. The Petite was a building that was destroyed. Every time I got a couple warnings that you're not going to have walls in, you're going to be told to run. And obviously that's not working because you can have walls and around the building to enjoy space. And so I brought in a group of people to build walls in the space. We filled in holes in the ground. Me and my husband filled some of these holes in the ground. And then it became the Petite overview of how I got here. And people always ask me, what are you doing? How did you get here? And it's just an odd way. So I started off in law school, also in the constitutional law department. I wrote a lot of laws for Jacksonville, including medical marijuana law. Got my master's in urban planning and kind of looked back to this. So I take everything that I've learned and focus on placemaking and equity. So Placemakingjax, the school, was part of one of our grantees for this year. We're so happy to be a part of it. Fun and Functional is a activation plan that was written by the Disability Pond Fund. I worked on it when I was working at the DIA, and it really was the city's most recent and largest effort to get the voice of the public of what they want to do on the riverfront, what they want to feel on the riverfront. So what I've learned in my work right now is that governments really have resources to solve the biggest problems. No matter what government it is, if it's Jacksonville or High Springs, which is a Panhandle city outside of Gainesville, they don't know what to do. and they can't do it. If they know how to do it, they don't do it. They're not able to do it.
Placemaking is really a reaction to the last 200 years of city making, where we went off course and made us very cynical. I think that American suburbia has become a powerful generator of anxiety and depression on a web of interdependencies, which is to say a local economy. It expresses itself physically as connectedness, as buildings actively relating to each other, and to whatever public space exists, be it the street or the courthouse. The stage set of a literal death trip of a society determined to commit suicide. We have many brothers and sisters around the world, and through Katie, who's probably the most well-known American placemaker to say on the planet, you all have a deep into this relationship sort of network.
We're starting to understand what the magic is in this process. But then there was another consideration that really became apparent to me, which was that when we were doing events, a lot of times, again, you are coming in and you're sharing your ideas. We need to be able to listen to people and ask what they want rather than bring in things that they don't. And when that happened, it also changed everything about the downtown, because we had someone, for example, who said, I like to throw winter walkers, which you'd be like, what? Like to a farmer's market, which all public markets are amazing because they help you to incubate your local food makers. They help you if it's not one that's for farms. They help you to incubate your local businesses, and it gives them a much easier threshold of entry to come out and pop up and see if people like your products. And then from there you move to the next thing, which is the brown box. This right here is an example of an area that was an 80-acre cornfield. And they, like the properties of Christopher Alexander, who I talked about earlier, and they literally, this mayor fought for over 20 years to build a classical city in the middle of the cornfield. And he did it. There's people creating whole new cities in vacant areas. And that's happening all over the United States. And it's fascinating because they're going back to these old methods of city building that we don't really use anymore.
One thing that you do is that you feeling it back then, I can definitely see the going on now. Like Jackson Jams, like that's crazy. Like you come from everything that you're doing to like the Jackson Village. Like that's a lot of the people that you've done. So I just want to commend you from an artist standpoint.
Really important dialogue. People who won't talk to each other in the street, they'll sit up on a thing like here, pass the mic back and forth and share their opinions. And so it's important for community to help mediate the media. That's what media means. It's a way of mediating our voices through other formats.
And a lot of these issues that we have locally are constrained by schools that are outdated, and also constrained by schools that only apply some and not others. So you see this inequity of who gets to do what and for how much, what these things, there's an easier path than someone else. You get discouraged from doing it. Gathering, city said it's illegal, so they had to tear it down. But he had already built a community, and they were so mad that they got in that circle before when they held hands. And then they were able from that day to change the law to create the village of Vernon. So there's cities all across the country who fought fights, and they've already made that law.
Talking to those businesses and seeing what it is that they need, and how do you modify that model to that specific neighborhood? Because even if it is super successful in Springfield, that might not be what the West Side needs. They might need something else based on what they see every day.
But I was just wondering if there were any examples of any communities, cities, or countries that had youth-led placemaking projects.
One of those things where we had an architecture firm help youth to create a green alley, and they were amazing. And youth are amazing. They've got so much energy, and they see all the problems. And they also come up with beautiful, different, creative solutions.
The kids are actually the placemakers, and they have a parallel program, called Block by Block, where kids use Minecraft, trying
a lot of work. You know, going to events is exhausting.
Just ask a question. So, what is your vision of placemaking being integrated in educational institutions? So, like colleges, high schools, vocational schools, like how do you want to integrate that thought process, the mindset for the next generation to piggyback and be the leaders?
So I'm actually working on a project right now where I'm trying to not necessarily make kids like placemakers in a way, but at least having their say in placemaking as far as congregating with maybe from 14 to 21 years old, because you're really when kids are 21 years old. But gathering them together to have their say in the things that are happening around the city. So like we have riverfront country. Kids should have a say in what that riverfront is going to be. They're the people that are going to be here. Just all of the different things that come through like downtown, Riverside, we have a lot of things that are coming. I just feel like kids in general need to have their say, and so I feel like we need to have forums, just kind of like how we have town halls and things like that with students. Our whole focus was how can we get students of different backgrounds, whether they believe in something or nothing or whatever it is, how do we get them all together to do something good, to learn something new. So we hosted a lot of different events on campus and taught them how that would apply in the real world. So working with different organizations or faith-based leaders, hosting art and soul cafes.
We can help you do that. And there are tons of people who want to give money to kids and the arts in schools. Like people like Melinda Gates who did the XQ challenge. They want to transform schools. And there's turnaround arts. There's lots of people. That is a huge area.
I think that we learned over the past 4 courses into a public space activation project that totals a budget of $3,500. You're going to have to address some community issues, you're using the art to solve, you're going to have to submit a budget of $3,500. You pick one of these 3 public spaces and you submit an idea for an activation that shows what you have learned through this course. You are more than welcome to submit individually, but I'm going to disqualify your application almost immediately if you do not apply in teams. Your best bet, I don't know how to end here, because I don't know if y'all know each other, I can send out a student list of emails, is to get into groups of 3, 4, and 5 and apply. I don't really want to see 60 applications come through, I'd rather see more like 10 or 15 really strong teams come through. This is due in 4 weeks. It's due midnight, July 18th, and the instructors are going to review them real fast, pick one, and rock and roll with it. We're only able to select one team. This part of the course is laid out. I didn't know if I could make it work. In the future, I'd love for everyone to be able to do a project, or us do a project as a class. So for this first pilot, here's your final assignment. Put your idea of a group on paper to activate one of these 3 public spaces, and budget of $3,500.
Placemakingjax Productions.